Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Exciting news, exciting news. Grayscale has actually sued the SEC. And yes, it's over the Bitcoin ETF. They fired the first salvo. That's correct. They are no longer taking it anymore. They're taking the fight to the agency. They are tired of being rejected for Bitcoin ETFs, spot ETFs. And they have a very, very strong argument. The SEC must submit its brief by November 9th. After that, Grayscale will then submit a reply brief on November 30th before both parties submit a final brief on December 21st. So it's actually getting really serious here. The SEC has made a point of suing a lot of crypto companies, while these crypto companies, at least Grayscale, is hitting back hard with their own legal case against the SEC. So the world's largest digital asset management firm filed its opening legal brief on October 11th in the U.S. Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia Circuit, which is the D.C. Circuit, in which it claimed the SEC's knockback to be arbitrary, capricious, and discriminatory, which it probably is. See, the argument is and it makes perfect sense, that it doesn't really make sense to deny a Bitcoin spot ETF when you've approved so many futures ETFs, because even though they are futures, ultimately their price is determined by the spot Bitcoin price on the market. So they take the exact same risks in the exact same market. So if you approved multiple Bitcoin futures ETFs, there's no reason not to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF. And they might actually force the SEC into a corner. Attorneys for Grayscale argue that several Bitcoin futures ETFs have been previously approved by the SEC, and they generate their prices based on the same indices as the spot Bitcoin ETF. So basically, they're the same thing. It's just that when it comes to a spot ETF, which is actually, I think, less easily manipulated than a futures ETF, the SEC actually says no. So basically, they stated the SEC could not rationally conclude that Bitcoin futures ETFs do not take on the very same risks in the very same market as a spot Bitcoin ETF. And they added, quote, although Bitcoin may be a relatively new asset, this is from Cointelegraph, by the way, the legal issue here is straightforward. The Commission has violated the APA's most basic requirements by failing to justify its vastly different treatment of Bitcoin futures ETPs and spot Bitcoin ETPs. The SEC is not allowed to randomly discriminate. They do have to treat everything under the same standard. And they have not. And because they've approved Bitcoin futures ETPs and denied spot ETPs, and since both of them are in the same market and run the same risk, it really doesn't make sense. And Grayscale also argued that the SEC's significant market test, one which assesses whether an exchange proposal to list an ETP is designed to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices, is flawed, and that the SEC set the bar so high that it couldn't possibly be satisfied. So basically, they're saying the SEC is making unreasonable demands in that case, and they're probably right as well. The SEC probably set the bar really high just so they can deny whatever they want. Now, they might actually have to face the music and try to fight this in court, and they may not actually win this, which means they will have to relent and get a Bitcoin Bitcoin spot ETF in play. Basically, Grayscale also argued that SEC's decisions harms the 850,000 investors who own shares in the trust. Sort of, yeah, because all of them want to be converted into an ETF. So Grayscale actually has really good arguments, and this time, the SEC is not the one on the offensive. Grayscale is actually the one on the offensive. Given the Commission did not approve the trust to trade as an ETP on the exchange, the value of its shares cannot closely track the value of the trust's underlying Bitcoin assets, depriving trust shareholders of billions of dollars in value. There is simply no justification for continuing to inflict such serious investor harm. So basically, the SEC is being put on the defensive. Grayscale has really good arguments, and realistically, the SEC has been arbitrarily denying a Bitcoin spot ETF for no real reason, so they might actually lose this case. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.